Democracy means more, much more, than the right to vote, and one vote for every man and every woman of the prescribed age. Democracy means recognition of the rights of others. Democracy means the equality of all in the eyes of the law. Democracy means equality of opportunity for all in education, in the public service, and in private employment. Democracy means freedom of worship for all, and the subordination of the rights of any one race to the overriding right of the human race. Our national flag belongs to all our citizens. Our national coat of arms with our national birds inscribed therein is the sacred trust of all our citizens. So it is today. Please, I urge you, let it always be so. Let us always be able to say with the psalmist, behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. As the citizens of an independent country, we must preserve the qualities we have developed in the testing period before independence. We must work even harder than in the past. The watchwords I have chosen for the nation are discipline, production, tolerance. I appeal to you to let them ever be your guide to conduct. If we do this, we will build a nation which can hold its head high and be accepted anywhere in the world, and which any other nation will be glad to welcome as a friend. As we march forward to our great day, let us do so as a united people, bridging all the differences of class, race, color, and creed. Let us make a living reality of our new motto. Together we aspire. Together we achieve.
So I want everybody to get together and do something nice. Lesson, you ready? Let me go! It's painting time!
To Rio Clavo, to Guayaguayare, through the coconuts of Manzanilla, to the fine sands of Queens Beach. This is your station on the Eastern Peninsula, Mayara Radio, taking Mayaro to the world.
I want me brush, give me brush, I want me brush, give me brush, I wanna paint the living room, I wanna paint the bedroom, I wanna paint the kitchen, I wanna paint everything. I want me brush, give me brush, I want me brush, me see more brush, darling, who you looking for? Alexander, Alexander. With two suitcases and she tell me she must find this man. Alexander, Alexander. Every Christmas she does come down to meet sweet man Alex from town. She wanted to surprise me, so she didn't call. She went searching all about, but can't find a lick at all. She tell me I want a lick, I want a lick, I want a lick. I can't do it all, a lick. A lick makes me happy, a lick drives me crazy. A lick for me Christmas, a lick is so gorgeous. Yeah, she tell me I want a lick, I want a lick, I want a lick. I can't do it all, a lick. Alexander. Curtains with bedspread too much, and a brand new Timex watch for Alexander. Alexander. I tell she I ain't see him long time, 'cause I don't hardly go and lies. She say, can he go try that? You and Alex close. Anytime I can't find him, if you like a check it first. She tell me I want Alex, I want Alex, I want Alex. I can't do it all. Alex makes me shiver.
Good morning, Mayaro. Feliz Navidad. Yes, today is Christmas Eve, December 24th, 2022. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Special morning to all our listeners across the globe on all social media platforms. Welcome to Seine Talk. Yes, we are here this morning, and of course, every time we try to inform, educate with a little bit of entertainment mixed in. Now, as it's Christmas Eve, should we be looking at the dailies or should we not? Mantra of our program is to also inform, so we are duty bound to at least touch. I was unable to get two of our dailies. I was only lucky to get the Express this morning. We yet to get someone to supply us with papers daily on a Saturday morning here at Miaro Radio for the program Seine Talk. But before I give you the front page of today's Express, let me first give you the weather. The weather in the city of Miaro is bright, hot sun, and it will remain like that for the duration of today. However, we cannot say the same for our brothers and sisters across the United States and Canada. Oh my. For those who are suffering power outage, I mean, it's one of the worst winter storms in recent history, and the temperatures will be plummeting to -0, and in some places way beyond that, with a wind chill factor that will keep you inside. So it's going to be a cozy one for our brothers and sisters there in North America. And it's not the entire U.S., because our listeners out there in LA are saying that they're expecting 80 degrees, and so they will be fine. But across New England, the tri-state area, Midwest, even in the Mid-South, so in Tennessee and all our listeners across the U.S., oh my. But here on Seine Talk, we'll give you some warm information and, of course, local music from TNT to, bring a little bit of warmth to that Christmas. Special good morning to Arlene, whom I just imagine, listeners. My sister in the U.S. has more wild meat. In the United States of America, have more wild meat than me right here in TNT. Oh my. So special morning to you, Arlene, and preparing all that. Yes, she already has a punch of crema. All right. So those in the tri-state area, bundle up and stay indoors. So we continue. This week in our region, lots of events, and of course, at this point in time, Christmas time, it's the season of giving. It's when we try to reach out to those less fortunate than we are. And of course, we know we have persons within our community who sometimes try to take advantage of that situation and sometimes cause persons who are really in need not to access some of the help that has been put out there. All right, so we have had some visits from persons from the Ministry of Local Government coming out to Coconut Grove, and oh my, the residents there welcome that coming out of the flooding. We know that at the Mafeking area, we know that assistance was pouring in, and sometimes we do not meet the requirement. But the fact is that at least some kind of help is coming. Some persons won't reach. We hope that that was corrected by now. And also all over the region and the community, special good morning to Heritage Petroleum Company Limited, the issuance of toys and of course the hampers during this period, to the MP, to the councillor, and those who are extended out to village councils and stuff. So we must say a special thanks to Heritage Petroleum Company Limited, also to BPTT and their continued assistance for the region and the community, especially when we are hit by natural disasters. They are on the ground very early. Also, Shell joined into the fray this week, issuing, and do you know, listeners, that persons actually have a rating for hampers and stuff, and right now, standing on the gold steps in terms of ratings for hampers, Shell Trinidad and Tobago Limited is now in that gold medal position. They are saying, word on the ground is the Shell hampers were the best this year. So, the rest of contributors, you need to step up your game for 2023. And of course, the first company that issues a small ham with their hamper next year Christmas, next year December, will move straight to the gold medal position. The hamper 2023 that includes a ham will be the gold medal standard for hampers next year. So that's a little tip for the companies that are giving out. So we go immediately one time to today's only daily that we got in station here this morning, and that would be the Express. Now, before I do the front page of today's Express, sadly, and I mean it can even be stated as really sad and disgusting that there are citizens and persons who are in authority within our nation that are actually happy or is kind of cheering on that the murder rate in Trinidad and Tobago should get to 600. Like, they can't wait. They want it. And the murder of 600 citizens of our nation or persons within our nation is like somehow some kind of trophy to put forward or to present or to make a case. One murder is too many. So the fact that there are some persons within our country who are like almost cheerleaders, come on, get to 600 so that you can make a statement, that is so unfortunate. And to me, I rebuke that in all the names of the creators and saviors of this world. That is so, that you are happy. You tout it like if it's something good. That's 600 murders in a small nation like ours. That is so sad. That is so sad. And that means that your heart of itself is void of love. That you are actually cheering on, like happy that Trinidad and Tobago will get to 600 murders. We have crossed 4,000 deaths due to coronavirus, and coronavirus is still here. And you are happy, and that is really unfortunate. I don't copy in terms of a lot of things from the United States, but one of their past presidents asked not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, and that's President Kennedy. And as such, it's what are you doing? What is your contribution as it relates to SAME? What is your contribution as it relates to persons who are seeing difficult times at this point in time? The easiest thing is to stand and criticize. To stand and criticize is extremely easy. And especially the trend whereby you sit in a forum when no one can ask you any questions or no one can challenge what you state and make profound statements. So no one can get to ask you a question, and you think that is helping TNT at this point in time. Why can't you do that, whereby persons can ask you questions and you take questions from John Public? But you sit and give those things, and that is so sad. This is Christmas. Find some kind of light within yourself where you can add value instead of poking holes in advancement. Listeners, this week gone there was a gathering from the office of the Member of Parliament for Miaro. All right, the Honorable Rushton Parry. Now, that office is the office of the Member of Parliament. So it's Parliament, so it's the state that is paying that office. That office is for each and every one of the constituency of Miaro. And I was actually proud to be invited by the MP to his staff dinner. Now that is the Parliament's staff dinner for the MP for Miaro. And I mean, it was really great, whereby that speech given by the MP in terms of bridging anything. In fact, at that dinner, there was not any ketchup or mustard scenario, but rather a scenario of the advancement of the city or of the whole region as a whole constituency of Miaro. And I was happy to be there, and congratulations and season's greetings to the MP and his family this morning coming out from Miaro Radio and for his statements. And the good thing, there was no recording. Yeah, there were a few spit years, but there were no recording. And I'm saying that sometimes some of the deepest and best communications were not recorded, and we look for actions because we know that action speaks louder than words. So for those who are clapping and can't wait for the murder rate to reach 600, I say shame on you. So we go to the front page of today's Express, listeners, because this is Christmas Eve. We're supposed to be starting from crazy, singing about Manzanilla. And you know, of course, here on St. Talk, we'll give you the update on that roadway shortly. But we're supposed to be hearing that. Thanking our sister for her contribution, singing Francine, passed away last week there. You know, and going forward, and of course, the man from Faizabad who now resides in Sangre Grande, the undisputed soca parang king, Mr. Owen Reyes Johnson, a.k.a. the Scrunter, the man who got the will. That is where our focus is supposed to be. However, we have to touch on some things. So on the front page of today's Express, listeners, Jada's body recovered at Maracas Beach after outing with unknown man. Listeners, in fact, we will deal with that a little further on. This is Christmas Eve. Condolences to Jada's family. And of course, I'm seeing in the story here that the police are questioning this unknown man. I hope that they use the unwritten practices of the police force to talk to that gentleman. In fact, no, I take back the word gentleman to that man and get to the bottom of this. So the headline is Deadly Rendezvous. All right, so Jada's body was recovered, and Jada, listeners, is 18 years old. So I just hope that that's not one of those online mets and decide to go Maracas Beach and skinny dip or whatever. So unfortunately, condolences go out to the family. Also on the front page of today's Express, Hines horses are wrong. Fun ride. National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines waves as he and the 9-year-old Richard Roberts ride a horse named Itchbud at the Police Interagency Task Force Heads and Minds Christmas on the Hill event at Sugrim Trace Love until yesterday. That was nice. That was nice. All right, and that's the front page of today's Express. And on the back page, flashback, West Indies Nicholas Puran gets off his feet to smack this delivery during his 74 in the second one-day international against India at Queen's Park Oval, St. Clair earlier this year. Big dollars Puran, most expensive bid for a West Indian in the IPL. Okay, Make your money, youngster. Make your money. All right. Butcher joined Haynes, Cully on West Indies men's team selection panel. So, a sportscaster, as we touch on sports in the background, was blasting the West Indies Cricket Board of Control pick for the coach for the upcoming games next month, and saying that if, you know, the coaching is a pick-up side because this guy coached the youth team and they just throw him on the deep end to coach the senior team. And that's unfortunate that a sportscaster will deem the fact that because someone dealt with youth, that they may not be able to add value. So it lends itself that sports on a whole in TNT is still a hustle and not seen in the realm of the professionalism required when approaching sports. This sportscaster who blasted the choice of coach, I was actually listening to hear that he does not have the prerequisite or the qualifications to coach. He does not have the levels of coaching that is required. But all he's saying that he used to coach youths and now he's going to coach seniors, and that's the flaw. That's really unfortunate, but it lends itself to the fact of the hustle. The hustle. You are blasting him because it may not fit into your hustle. So you need to get a guy there which can fit into your hustle to benefit your hustle. And that's the approach. So West Indies rock the boat. We can't get worse than we are. So rock the boat. And for those cricket enthusiasts, because I am not a cricket connoisseur, I am not really inclined to all the intricacies of cricket, which is the most expensive sport in the world, right? But I can say is that rock the boat. Rock the boat. The game of itself, while we as a region was at the top of the game, those in charge of the management of cricket in the world included rules and put in new things that would curtail the greatness of our players. So we had to now react to whatever. All right, a brother I met at C3 this week, Narayan, when he dominated on the international scene, suspect action. Come back again, suspected action. Why? Because he sent back so many batsmen to the stands. So, oh no, West Indies is coming back, West Indies is coming back, alert. Management of the game, find some flaws with this guy Narayan, he's bowling too good, he's taking too many wickets, we need to find some flaw with him. Okay, suspected action. Right, they would investigate, so he'd have to come off the team for a while. Right, so, shake up the bowl, West Indies cricket, shake it up, so we could get somewhere. So, we will break for a little music and come back to give you the information that most of our listeners want all over the globe. What is the status of the Manzanilla Miara Road and the work that have been started? What is the update with Seine? So when we come back, we're going to give you an update on that road situation. So we're going to go to some music here.
I'm feeling the drink around this morning. My neighbor called me early this morning. He say he not feeling well. I went over. is from Tobago. Christmas they reaching Fat Meadow with a box piece and a quattro, a violin and a banjo. They say they always had a plan to give me family a parent. They wake up my mommy right away when they ring out with this loud way. My Jeffrey, oh, get up. Hey, like you are here in the back of crowing, no girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh, get up. Time to put on smoke in the kitchen, no girl.
Blessed is the pure in heart, for theirs are the kingdom to behold. I will not sell my soul for the riches of this world. I will share what little he give me, happy to receive his mercy. I will praise his name all day long, happy to know what I have done. I want to go to heaven and live this life without strife. I want to go to heaven, Christ has already paid the price. I want to go to heaven, hear the trumpet shout song. I want to go to heaven, hear the saints are wearing his crown.
May our own radio.
Telling everybody I leave you on Christmas morn. Talk around the country, keep on back up and gone. Crazy, you know how much I love you so. But on Christmas night, just leave me here, gone out and lie. Crazy, why you looking for me? Crazy, me and Jenny, Joan and Yvette, Jane and Janet, form we own band, we went and parade. Crazy, why you sleeping? I was having a ball. Me and the girls went and parade. Why you crying by the junction?
With you.
started to do their session. Was playing some instrumental. Then the lead singer start to jam. Koro, 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 koro. Rogo, rogo, give them coco. Koro, 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 koro. Bring them coco, give them logo. That is what he's singing. And he wouldn't stop if you see the people how they jumping up to the koro, koro, koro. Rogo, rogo, give them coco. Koro, 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 koro. And the bunga, give them logo. Toronto, while going to work on our farm to pick tobacco, we start to move together, and everything was nice. But when I tell she that I'm leaving, what I run out of she eyes. I wanna come, baby, let me come with you for the Christmas. I wanna come, baby, let me come with you for the Christmas. But in your arms, where I want to be, let me come with you for the Christmas. I wanna come, baby, let me come with you for the Christmas. I wanna come, baby, let me come with you for the Christmas. Cause in your arms, where I want to be, let me come with you for the Christmas. You want to get me in trouble, eh? I want to live that. Tell me, listen, baby, let me please explain. If you don't take me, the head will be in pain. I make up my mind, spend the Christmas with you. So if you don't want me to come, then what I might do, I wanna come, baby, let me come with you.
Was immense, trio man combining. Oh, well, I imagine that then girl come to spree. I call in names, Mary, Joan and Debbie. Mary says she taking some, Debbie says she taking one. I do them control is on, but here is she asking for. Oh God, that's gonna let me play with this boy. I wanna play with this, please let me play with this. And I'm feeling that I could do it right now. Boy, let me play with this, I wanna play with this. And it's something I must let you know. I want to play with this. Let me play with this. Since I've seen toys, I've never seen none. So, why let me play with this? I want to play with this. Oh God. Touch it up. From the day I born, and I'm quite sure I can't get another one.
Play with it. Yes, seasons greetings again, and across in Europe, in the continent of Africa, Asia, and of course our listeners even in Australia. So good morning, or whatever time of the day it is where you are. So to those freezing, I know there are a number of cancellations across the U.S. as it relates to flight, because this is the season of travel also. However, you can still call and see what's happening. You may have the plane hop and come down Mr. Sunny TNT. You know, the Calypso King of the World, the Mighty Sparrow said, "There's no place like home for the holiday." Right. So, as we promised, an update on the situation as it relates to the roadway from Mayaro to Manzanilla. The Manzanilla-Mayaro Road coming out of the most rainfall in the month of November. The last time we had anything close to that was 1946. I think that was reported. So that caused all this devastation across TNT as it relates to flooding, and the impacts are still being felt today. So here goes. Now, remember, it's a double action, and the compliments goes out to the government and to Minister Seine on his input and speed as it relates to this project. So it's the temporary access road that has been constructed, while a more permanent fixture is ongoing simultaneously. So the temporary access road will cost taxpayers $12 million. $12 million. And the temporary access road, remember, they were looking at a completion date for the temporary access road by today. However, based on when the water had subsided and the view of the amount of damage, apparently that forecasting of having the access road open today, Christmas Eve, apparently that would not be met. However, based on a thorough assessment, the minister have given the commitment that the temporary access road being constructed in Manzanilla will cost taxpayers $12 million. Minister of Works and Transport, Ruan Senanan, also gave the assurance yesterday to residents, commuters, and businesses inconvenienced by the collapse of the Manzanilla to Mayaro Road that they should get some relief before the start of the new school term. So the minister has given the commitment that before the opening of school 2023, the second term of the school year, but the first term in the new year, right, that the temporary access road will be completed so that persons can traverse from Mayaro to Manzanilla. All right. Minister said while the temporary access road was being built, a more permanent solution was ongoing. There is consultation between the Pure Unit, that's part of the Ministry of Works and Transport, the Coastal Unit Drainage. You also have the IMA, which is the Institute of Marine Affairs, involved. And together, they are using all the information that they have to come up with a design that will suit the area and take into consideration the new normal. He said, now we must recognize that this is an area that is challenged because it also forms part of the Nariva Swamp. So the design going forward there are limitations as to the amount of work that we can do. So it is a delicate situation, but it is something that has been happening for many years. And the water needs to find an access to the Atlantic Ocean. And some of you know that on the eastern side of the road, it goes uphill, so the water leaving can't go uphill to get to the ocean. So we have a good team on site, but one of the fallouts also that is affecting residents and persons owning business places and beach houses along the Manzanilla stretch. Due to that situation, they were without a power supply for a length of time, and the bandits were having a field day with persons' homes along that area. So many of the homes were vandalized, and unfortunately, because of accessing those areas, those bandits were given free rein. So I hope that things will be put in place so as to protect, because part of your constitutional right is the right to enjoyment of personal property. So we look forward And the headline in the paper says, route to be opened by January 3rd. And Minister, I know that you are putting your neck on the line given that commitment, but I know you would have given that commitment with all things considered, and our students in the area were paying a heavy price as it relates to the impact of that roadway. So we look forward to that happening. On a bit of, they say odd spot or odd news. It may be slightly odd, but it has the impact to bring some real heartache to families. And in this month of December, yesterday was the third accident involving a ladder and someone trying to do Christmas decorations. I think one was on a tree, and I think one was painting. But in the month of December 2022, we have had 3 fatalities, all connected to accidents as it relates to the use of a ladder. Sadly, the third person to die was at the age of 82, and that's a situation, listeners. In fact, for those who involved in the engineering, science, and accidents, and safety as a whole, you know that all accidents are preventable. All right? Not all incidents are preventable, but all accidents are preventable. And that was so sad that the gentleman lost his life while trying to probably bring joy to probably his grandchildren and children. An 82-year-old Piaco man fell off a ladder while hanging Christmas lights yesterday and later died, becoming the third man to pass away this week in a similar manner. Police said that around 11:16 a.m., right, Mr. Maraj of Dean Private Road off Factory Road, Piaco, was atop a short ladder. And listen carefully for those of you who are still utilizing ladders to paint or to hang decoration. A short ladder, right, hanging some lights in his porch when he lost his footing and fell. So please, we're saying all that to please observe some kind of caution and do a little check of what you're going to do before you start doing it. And keep in mind, especially when it comes to electricity, make sure that the lights you're putting outside are labeled as outdoor and can withstand the weather, and that you don't overload circuits. And please don't put extensions into extensions into extensions. All right? We just want you to be around 2023. It's already projected to be a continued challenge to all citizens, and we want you to be around. All right? Because it's going to be the mother of all carnivals. All right? So, but we just want you to be around because we need all hands on deck. And if Trinidad and Tobago ever needed you, is now. So, be careful. And when you're going on heights, we have a saying sometimes, when you reach a certain age, the only height you're climbing is bed height. So that might be a joke, but come on, right? So let's not make it 4 for the rest of the season here, all right? And of course, please be careful on the nation's roads. Exercise great caution, because a number of men will be drunk, and therefore their wives will be driving. So please exercise great caution on the road. All right, that's just another joke. No. All right, that's just a joke. But seriously, be careful on the nation's roadway. And this time, we know that there's an increase as it relates to such, so please be careful. And let's not help persons in terms of this season to continue in their banditry or their wicked ways. And of course, remember, guns don't kill people, people kill people. So let's make sure that it doesn't get to that 600 as some people are boasting for, and we continue. So it's Christmas Eve, right? Yesterday was Christmas Adam. today is Christmas Eve, and tomorrow is that big day. So make sure that Boxing Day meet you with $2 in your pocket. So all those things you're running out last minute to go to buy today, ask yourself, do you really need it? And if you don't, leave that $2 in your pocket. So Boxing Day, when you touch your pocket, you have a $2. And on Boxing Day now, you can come down in Church Road. Right, you know where the cemetery was before the church in Church Road? Well, they remove all the tombs and they put some nice dirt, and it's a nice play field. So right there tomorrow, please God, on Boxing Day in fact, there's going to be a small goal competition. So come out, make sure and keep a little $2 today. Don't buy things that you don't need. And come out and come by the small goal on Boxing Day. And show the youths that, hey, we could come out and give you a watch too, you know. Because here's what. You note that I did not say nothing about the World Cup thus far. But I'm coming back to that. So don't feel that I didn't forget it. Don't feel that I forgot that World Cup situation. Coming back to that. So right now, on Christmas Eve, the day after Christmas, Adam, the day before the actual day of Christmas Day, we're going to hit you back with some soca parang for another 5 minutes of soca parang.
Your friends are here. Neighbor, bring drinks, someone bring out drinks. I said to bring out sense, man. Neighbor, I'm taking one. Neighbor, I'm taking one. Neighbor, taking one. Neighbor, you say I'm passing by everybody. Every week on in the country. Make sure you stock up your bar. Stock up your bar. Artists in America. Anything I'm drinking. Bring the punch in. Bring the baba. Bring the whiskey. Bring the body. Bring the butter. Bring the butter. Ladies, we drinking anything. If we are ginger beer, but us bunches, we drinking that too, man. You can bring us some cola tonic, we drinking that. Anything you have, we drinking there, boy. What? So we say, yeah.
This is Christmas, y'all have a Merry Christmas. This is Christmas, as we drink, we go Christmas. Hey.
We jumping around, we having fun, we drinking liquor, everybody has one. We having a time, Christmas is the lime, so drink up your wine. Drink up, get ready.
This is Christmas, y'all have a Merry Christmas. This is Christmas, as we drink, we go Christmas. This is Christmas, y'all have a Merry Christmas. This is Christmas, as we drink, we go Christmas. Hey!
You take me to the season. It's a time of celebration. It's a beautiful sensation. Christmas time across the nation.
No matter what religion, no matter what faith, every day is Christmas, and God is always great. Coming to my house, sit down at my table, laugh, eat and drink, for we should be thankful.
Merry Christmas to mankind. God is love, God is love. Peace and love with bread and wine. God is love, God is love. Mother, father, and the child. Ooh, ooh. Sharing love is so divine. God is love, ooh. Joy, spreading joy. Spreading joy, joy. Spreading joy. Spreading joy.
Bring out the scotch and ting. Bring out the scotch and ting. Hey, what the baba? Show the beer. Show the food to eat. Yes.
868-294-8232 radio.
It's Christmas time, everybody. We're moving from house to house. Christmas time, we're moving from house to house. Hey, it's Christmas time, we're moving from house to house. Christmas time, we're going from house to house. Yeah, Christmas time, we're moving in the city, straight to the country. Hey, we go Central Bossy. Hey, we doing celebrating, sharing and we giving.
curtain. Don't you worry, if you know you can't afford. Just bring the curtain, you're sure to get the rod. Baby, waiting for you from abroad. Just bring the curtain, I prepare in the rod. Real music. Just bring the curtain, I prepare in the rod. Just bring the curtain, I prepare in the rod. She asked what kind of rod I have for the curtain. The material heavy, brocade and satin. It is not the flimsy rod, it is the one that stood. It's the nice and stiff one to keep the curtain firm. Baby, don't you worry if you know you can't afford. Just bring the curtain, you're sure to get the rod. Baby is a nice brand and it's shaped just like a sword. Just bring the curtain, I prepare in the rod.
Christmas I was lonely, so lonely, and I didn't have no money, but now I am so happy, cause I found my pretty lady. Hey, this year is you and me going on a spree, nice clothes and jewelry, and a nice big Christmas tree. This for the family, a big ham and a turkey. I'm gonna bet you are ready for the this Christmas party. The whole of Christmas time, I'm spending Christmas with you. Every party, every line, I'm spending Christmas with you. I'm leaving all my friends behind. I'm spending Christmas with you, cause I am yours and you are mine. I'm spending Christmas with you. 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 I'm spending Christmas with you.
A special time of year. Twinkle and your loving is all I want to share. I don't want your diamond ring, I don't need the fancy thing. The only thing I'm missing is my husband to love me. Cause the days are getting shorter, but at nights I'm feeling cold. All the gifts, the drink, the trees, they don't mean nothing to me. Give me love, give me love, give me love. La 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 la, yo 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 yo, la 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 la, yo yo yo. La 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 la, yo 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 yo. Give me love, give me love, give me love.
I took the role of lead singer, Parang in a rima. Transferred up my Parang band, 2000 knocked the grandstand. The welcome was the MC when he introduced me. People jumping like carnival to my rendition of Serenade. Alpagata, alpagata, unuram unu parata. Maria, 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 mi corazón. From Port of Spain to Faizabad, everybody go crazy mad. Maria, 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 mi corazón. I took the role of lead singer, parang soca in a rima. Fancied of my parang band, fish out and slap the grandstand. Evel was the MC. When he introduced me, people jumping like carnival to my rendition of Serenal. Alpacata, alpacata, uno rum, uno parata. Maria, Maria, Maria. From Father State to Faizabad, everybody go crazy man. Maria, 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 mi corazón. Tropical sunshine bounded by blue seas. Joys of Trini Christmas are chiefly these. Maggie drinks black coffee to stay awake. Coconut, sweet bread and black cake to bake. Crimson sorrel puzzle shaped ginger to buy. Measured lace curtains, fancy drapes to tie. Pastels galore from Tina in Woodbrook. Time to cover and clean each cranny and nook. A humble task is all I ask. I join a happy bunch, as though I drank punch. Every year we feting, drinking and paranging to celebrate Christmas Day. We idolizing Santa, but no time for the Savior. This is not the way I say. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year.
Big loud movements.
Every year we feting, drinking and paranging to celebrate Christmas Day. We idolizing Santa, but no time for the Savior. This is not the way I say. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year. He came down here to save us from wickedness and chaos. Put Jesus in your Christmas this year. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year. He came down here to save us from wickedness and chaos. Put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas, put Jesus in your Christmas this year.
Yes, put Jesus in your Christmas this year, Mr. Edwin Ayong. Yes, aka the Crazy. That's the man who started it all. No, that was, first of all, there was Parang Soca. When the boss came around, it changed now to Soca Parang. So, Crazy is the Parang Soca king of the world, and Skrunta is the Soca Parang king of the world. So, don't get it convoluted, don't get it mixed up. We know who is who, we know who is what. Crazy is the man. And remember that song, you know? Remember, Dave Elcock was the MC when they introduced he in Arima in the Velodrome. You know, to close off that show, you know what he sang? He sang Manzanilla to end the show, you know. When I go to Manzanilla, I will drink my chip water, Maria. So serious thing, all that. We don't just play music, you know. We play history. We play history here on St. Talk on Miaro Radio. Now, we know it's Christmas time, but yes, listeners, put Jesus in your Christmas. But I want to share something with you, listeners, that it's really of high importance. And remember, there are so many persons toiling in the wilderness trying to get results. And sometimes, you know, you take a step, you take 3 steps forward, sometimes you want to take 1 step back to the 3 step forward and that kind of thing. But something happened last week there that we as citizens of the region, not just Trinidad and Tobago, right, who would have been impacted by the transatlantic slave trade, it's thing for us to take note of, because they sometimes dangle something in front of you that, it distracts you from the main goal straight over. But compliments out to the guys, the vanguards, those who are watching and taking note and responding. I concur with what you are saying, and I'd like to share this with you listeners. Chairman of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, sorry about that, listeners, and Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, has commended the Dutch government for acknowledging the role it played in slavery, but called for reparation negotiations between the Netherlands and the Caribbean. St. Hilary said on Wednesday that the apology for the Netherlands' role in abetting, preserving, and profiting from the slave trade issued by Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte on Monday was significant and historic. With the formal apology of the Dutch state and the acknowledgement that the transatlantic slave enchained African bodies and chattel slavery in general, that they represent a case against humanity and that such a crime must be repaired with specific remedies. This formal apology is significant, and we understand it to be a historic moment. Beckles told a news conference, adding that the Netherlands is best poised at this moment to bring global leadership to this long and sustained call for reparatory justice for all. However, the CRC chairman stressed that the Prime Minister Rutte did not bring to the table all those who are the survivors of the historic crime, the victim communities in the Caribbean and beyond, and therefore not stakeholders to this historic statement. So historic though it is, the statement can be challenged and must be challenged on the basis that the Prime Minister did not seek the organized input and support of the Caribbean community and the reparatory justice movement in general, he said. Significant, and it's a start. It's a start, so I just decided to share that with you, and I concur that that unilateral statement must include other persons at the table, and our region, the Caribbean, must be invited to sit at the table, because we are the survivors of the crime, and as such, reparation must come to the region, specifically from all the governments that were involved in this slave trade back in the day. So that's just important to note. So, good morning to Abyssinia. Good morning to Russville. Good morning to St. Mary's Estate. Good morning to Ferrier Circular, Guagari Village, Block 9. Good morning. Coming up to Seawall. Good morning, Calma Pass. Good morning, La Savane, Newlands. Good morning, Nurse Trace. Good morning, Housing Scheme. Good morning, Library. Good morning, Library. Good morning, Library. Good morning, Library. Good morning, coming up the road there. Good morning to Indian Bay. Good morning to St. Margaret. Good morning to Radix, Sentence, Beaumont Estate. You know we have to change that name. We locally call it Bomu. But that, we just read something about an apology from the Dutch. We have to remove that name, Beaumont Road. Have to find a road to name that. We have to get a name for that. We used to call Tubish the area. We have to get another name for Beaumont Road, and I mean like soon. That, we're getting rid of that slave mentality within our community and named after persons who enslaved our brothers and sisters in the past. So that Beaumont Road name have to change, and change in 2023. Yes. So, continue to that area by Composite. Yes, now called Miaro Secondary School. That area by Composite. Right, morning to the Miaro Fire Station. You know your time coming. The fire season. We call it the dry season, but we know it's the fire season. Your time coming. Get ready. Take out those beaters. Get guys up to scratch. Get to know the off-route roadways to get to where those fires come annually. Right. Good morning to Quarters. Yes, good morning to Peter Hill Extension, both sides. Yes, good morning to Quarters, Miaro proper. Right, Pierreville. Right. Good morning to the one-way, Spring Flat. Good morning, Cedar Grove. Right, good morning over there, Peter Hill. Yes, Peter Hill Trace, which has a Solomon Street connected to Peter Hill Trace because it's Peter Hill Trace. So it's time we had to change that too, because it is a significant and main street in our community. It cannot be named a trace. So it's either Peter Hill Avenue, Peter Hill Street, but we had to take out that trace. So the substantial Peter Hill Trace. Right, Plazas, down the beach. Yes, Moko Ali, Lewis and Tukwe Street, Lagahu and Sukunya Trace. Your pick. Right, I walk it from Moko Ali to Lewis and Sukwe Street. I have the authority to call it Moko Ali and Lagahu and Sukunya Trace. Yes, good morning, Moko Ali. Good morning, yes, all the way. Rest House, yes, but Bosseju, between Miara and Rest House, Bosseju, right. Good morning, St. Joseph, one of the main towns. Good morning, Ottawa. Good morning, Cascadoo. Good morning, Kernaham. And Bodo, yes. So coming back up the road and we going on that. So Spring Flat, Cedar Grove, proper, nice, good. And inside village, first village, second village, Cedar Grove, yes. Right, Mafeking, inside Mafeking, right. Branch Road, up by the Saint, Bristol, yeah, NDT, right, all the way to Augusta and Rio Claro. Pleasant good morning and greetings of the season to you and yours. Yes, we love having you on board. And of course, we're going up in the Ville because when we look at the format here and see where our listeners are, good morning to Ecclesville and all the Perez are in. There's a lot of Perez in Ecclesville. Good morning to all the Perez family in Ecclesville. Pleasant good morning to you and yours. Season's greetings, right? So Ecclesville on board, passing on to the back. Booze, hey, oh my gosh, the place where you get the best groomed lawn in our region. Good morning to Booze, and of course, for one of these citizens in Booth, I want to say a special good morning and to express sincere thank you for the contribution that you have made to this region. Mr. McKnight, listeners, people of our region, when you see Mr. McKnight, say good morning and just say thank you. If you ask you why, just tell him, hey, I was listening to Seine Talk last Saturday, and the announcer on Seine Talk said, when we see you, Mr. McKnight, just say thank you. All right, thank you. A gem within our region, a gem within our community. Good morning to you, Mr. McKnight. All the best season greetings to you and yours. Thank you, sir, for your contribution to our region and holding our region high in esteem. Yes. Nice. Let's step out. All of the islands, all the Caribbean islands, and of course I told you, those freezing in the US and Canada, good morning again and season's greetings. You know, we here in the region have some things about Christmas. We want sorrel, we want black cake, and remember we spoke about that. A black cake does not mean a cake that is black. That is not the qualifying characteristic that gives your cake the name of black cake. If your fruits was soaking for less than 3 months, that is not a black cake. That is not a fruit cake. Your fruits must be soaking for more than 3 months for it to qualify as a fruit cake. This kind of thing you feel you could have run by the grocery yesterday or last week and put it in a cake and call it a fruit cake. No. You're breaking all the traditions. You're wrong. You're wrong until you could roll. Right. So, those of you who decide to put puncheon in the black cake and the fruit cake, you're wrong again. The puncheon will dominate the taste of the cake and it would not taste good. Don't matter if it's Forest Park or the imitation puncheon that they're making now to some other name. I don't know what it is. Right? I don't drink any, but if you use puncheon, you're wrong. We know it's cherry brandy, and don't put that flavored white oak thing either. This flavoring, which 99% of the time is artificial in the rum, I don't know who came up with that brilliant idea, to each his own, and no comment, but plain thing. And cherry brandy for your fruit cake and your black cake. Nice. Right, so pastel. You have to cook the meat prior to putting it in the pastel. Do not come and make things and calling it pastel, and as you take a bite, you start to watch all up in the air, and you say, excuse me, because you know what happened. Something wrong. All right? So you have to cook the meat before you put it in the pastel. And from those of you who making pay me, I don't know if you heard that soca parang this year, pay me. Right? Because apparently, much of the persons around Christmas time do not want to pay me. But you know what they want? They want porn. And you know the sister Annie, who does make the best porn, they want porn from by Annie. So they want porn. Anyway, all right. So let's not go there. So all he's saying is in relation to the traditions and what we normally do, there's one little thing that we have to remember. And that this is the season of giving, and it's also the season of love, and it's also the fact that we have to look out for our brothers and sisters and look out for those who are less fortunate. We know we have some tricky ones. That's a fact. We have some tricky ones. We know that. But your blessing does not come from man. So he or she who thinks that he have tricked you, you can't trick the boss. You can't trick the boss. So don't worry about that. Right? Take a time out to sit and chat with your family members without the television, without the internet, or the Wi-Fi. In fact, our message here on Seine Talk this morning to all our listeners across the entire planet is on Christmas Day tomorrow. Detach yourself for 2 hours. Meaning, I know that the youngsters are going to vex. They can't survive without Wi-Fi. So you ask yourself, what did we do in the 80s? You know, we went outside and play and got bruised and, you know, had the 10-second rule. If it fall from your hand while you're eating it, once 10 seconds and pass, you could pick it up and eat it, and you were okay. Detach yourself for 2 hours. That is the message from Seine Talk this morning. I now came up with it, but detach yourself for 2 hours. No internet, no television, no electronic device. All right? All right, the place hot, so we'll leave the electricity and leave on the fan and stuff. But detach yourself. Where you chat, actually have a conversation with family members. What's up? What's happening? How are you? Hear that. Okay? So that's our message here. We're going to detach for 2 hours on Christmas Day. No Wi-Fi, no internet, no music, no television. 2 hours where we talk about it and we chat. All right? This year has been a challenging year. This year we faced situations that, and because of all of that, you know, we like to give at least some kind of good news, although we know there are those out there who would take whatever news and try to twist it and make it all kind of how. But the global trust is moving away from fossil fuel. Right? That's a fact. They're talking about electric cars. If you listen, electric this, Mercedes have theirs, BMW have theirs, Tesla, all of these going into the electric cars. However, Trinidad and Tobago, #1 export is oil and gas. And while out there in the world it may be taboo as they're looking for greener energy, we have to utilize our oil and gas sector to reap as much rewards as we can, because I give it about 50 years. In the next 50 years, that would not be the primary energy source. We know of the wars, and Russia has confirmed that they're now calling it a war. Before that was illegal in Russia to term the Ukraine-Russia conflict as a war, but now the president of Russia has termed it as a war, and that is ongoing, and that is influencing commodity prices across the planet. So we, and thank God for those in authority at this time, and of course Trinidad and Tobago's #1 salesman. Pleasant good morning and season's greetings to you, the Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and your entire family from us here at Miaro Radio, and especially Seine Talk and the region and community of Miaro Guayagari. Special holiday greetings out to you and your family for their work as it relates to maximizing on the returns. And because of that, I know it's the Christmas season, and I need to play for our listeners to hear the Minister of Energy and Energy Resources make some statements and comments as it relates to the oil and gas sector, and some of the work spearheaded and led by the Honorable Prime Minister as it relates. Because you know what? You will listen to yourself, but you know what would stand out? Is that if the government of the day did not intervene and renegotiate some of the contracts as it relates to the oil and gas sector, to put it in the mildest way that we could comprehend without I saying much statement, bat with a bite we. Because there were arrangements made whereby we would have been receiving royalties not until 2027, listeners. So if the government of the day did not renegotiate and organize these new arrangements, bat by three. So whether you like him, you like him, which, well, this is Seine Talk, so we don't promote that kind of thing. But that we must give kudos in terms of a national perspective as it relates to the arrangement in the oil and gas sector. Listener, that is critical, and that is extremely important, because while we had to find the money as a nation to deal with things, we were so lucky that some, based on the fact of our exportation, of our exports as it relates to the oil and gas sector, we were able to earn some additional earnings that put us in such a good place that we could weather the storm. So I want to play for you a little. I want to play for you some of the comments made in this situation, and to share with you what was stated as it relates to that. All right? Because, all right, in my view, it's extremely important. And we must share the information, because there's so much of right, a lot of the yeah, listeners, bear with me. I'm just trying to get it. Yes, sorry about that, listeners. I'm trying to get it from an interview that was done at another station. Right? And the main point that I want to share with you, just passed. And that main point is that I'm telling you that based on the prior arrangements in the sector, Trinidad and Tobago would have not gained from our natural resources anything until the year 2027. So in other words, your patrimony so let's take it in from here.
2022, fiscal 2022, the country earned $53 billion in revenue. 5-3. Out of that $53 billion in revenue, $29 billion came from oil and gas and then petchems. Very often you hear a smaller figure, oil and gas. That is purely from the sale of oil and gas. Trinidad and Tobago, decades ago, Darian, and I, as a citizen, I want to thank people like Dr. Ken Julian and others who took that decision decades ago that put Trinidad in the forefront globally by having ammonia and methanol produced from gas and those gas-based industries. 29 billion, almost 30 billion out of 53 is from petchems and the oil and gas. And that does not include all of the service companies that also make money in those sectors. So let's put it in that context. This year has been a great year for Trinidad and Tobago. This year, what you have seen is a culmination of a lot of hard work that it actually started in 2018. It started before that area, but in 2018 is when our Prime Minister had the spotlight on energy and told the population, here now, we intend to go and renegotiate contracts with these big oil and gas companies, the multinationals.
Let's start there.
So let us start there. They have story before that, what we came in and we faced.
Let's start there.
So let me start there.
Yes.
Let us start there.
Yeah, you remember that time? I want to start it with this. Because I needed to explain this to Trinidad and Tobago. Do you remember we were told by the UNC Minister of Energy that the reason we don't have gas
maintenance
at the time because of maintenance and the shutdown of plants for maintenance? And tell us about, I want you to start there, please.
Thank you, Darian. Trinidad and Tobago, the first thing to understand about our energy sector is oil and gas. When you take oil or you take gas out of the ground, it is a depleting resource, meaning it's not filling back. So you have 100 barrels of oil in the ground, you take out 1 barrel today, you have 99 for tomorrow. You take out 2 barrels the following day, you have 97 for the day after. And that is how it goes, it doesn't replace. So first thing you need to understand, for oil, we've been taking oil out of the ground for 100 years. For gas, for decades. So it is going to be declining. So when you hear the UNC come with this rubbish about production has crashed under the PNM, not true. PNM has maximized. But let us go to 2010 to 2015 when the UNC decimated, and I'm saying it here, the UNC decimated our energy sector. They did not negotiate, they negotiated one energy contract during that period. They had energy contracts running on month to month because they did not go and renegotiate new contracts. They did not negotiate one single upstream contract. What that means is the UNC did nothing to secure via contracts new gas coming for us to use in Trinidad and Tobago. And you'll hear the UNC say during that period, it is the incentives that they gave that allowed certain projects to take place under the PNM post-2015. I want to tell you all about those incentives. It is a fact, and they like to quote a former president of BP Trinidad and Tobago saying that, oh, the incentives is what helped us to do certain projects in Trinidad. I want to quote that because what happened when we came in 2015, we were told because of those UNC incentives, Trinidad and Tobago will not get a single cent. You hear what I'm saying? Not a single cent for that gas until 2024. We haven't even reached 2024 yet, Trinidad and Tobago. We're in the end of 2022. Because of UNC policy and incentives, Trinidad and Tobago was not going to get a cent in revenue until 2024. That's point number one. They didn't negotiate any proper contracts during their period in time. That's point number two. The one contract they negotiated was for a plant in Trinidad and Tobago to be built where we had no gas for the plant. That's point number one. But then the terms of the contract that they negotiated was so bad It is actually those terms, some of which we could not renegotiate as a PNM government, that led to NGC having the first losses ever had and having to write off $2 billion. The UNC policy with that plant has led to the NGC having to write off $2 billion. Staple that, bolt that to the chest of the UNC energy policies. Yes, we came in, as the Prime Minister said time and time again, he sent me. I did a turnaround trip to negotiate with the government of Japan. We got a better contract because, and I now hear the UNC change their narrative, Darian, to say, but if Young and Rowley negotiated a better contract, how come they had a loss of $2 billion? We negotiated what could have been negotiated. You, the UNC, are the ones who went and agreed a price of gas with them for 15 years that is not sustainable. So you, UNC, you, former Minister of Energy, put Trinidad and Tobago in that position. That is a $2 billion loss that had to be written off the other day. In addition, we came in and found, because of UNC policy and not doing anything proper in 2010 to 2015, $11 billion or $9 billion in claims against the NGC. We, the PNM, had to sit down, work with NGC, negotiate all of that. And I'm happy to tell the population of Trinidad and Tobago, we've settled all of those claims except one, and I'm hoping that we'll settle that one.
Settle it how?
Now, I can't get into the specifics of the settlements because of the confidentiality, but what I can tell the population of Trinidad and Tobago, settling a claim in a proper way does not mean payment, right? You sit down, you say, okay, you say I owe you X, you say I owe you $100, I say I don't owe you $100. Let us find a way to get rid of your claim for $100 against me. And we did all of that in negotiating new contracts going forward. So there would have been some cash payment, but a lot of it, again, thanks to NGC working with us in the government, we managed not to have to pay that out of cash because we were in difficult times. You all would remember when we came in, price of oil dropped to $20. You know what it is to wake up in the morning and see price of oil at $40, $20. In 2020, in April 2020, with COVID, for the first time in history, we're facing negative price of oil. So these are the things we did. But as a proper government, we didn't sit down and scream and wail and hold our hands up. No, we sat down, we worked at it, we worked very hard, we worked quietly and efficiently. We've settled, as I say, I think it's about $9 billion in claims that the UNC left for us in Trinidad and Tobago. And then now let me get to the renegotiation of the contracts. Because you're right.
Before you talk about renegotiation, Dr. Rowley, as Prime Minister, and yourself, went to various places around the world, meeting with the decision makers, the CEOs, the chairmen of these mega companies.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Absolutely correct.
And how did that happen? Were you all invited?
No, sir.
Did we invite ourselves? How did that go?
Let me tell you all something, and I say this without fear of contradiction. We owe Dr. Rowley a debt because he came in as a leader, and I'll always remember this. He said, we need to establish proper relationships with these people. They are making decisions thousands of miles away from Trinidad. They need to meet with the decision makers in the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and we need to establish relationships with them. So when they are deciding whether to spend, because Darian, let me tell you, a BP and a Shell have a global portfolio.
Yeah.
So if they say I'm spending $10 billion in my company today, it's not $10 billion in Trinidad or in Netherlands or anything, they all over the world. So if we can establish relationships with them and tell them Trinidad is a place to continue doing business, we will get some of that $10 billion.
I read an article.
Right. So listeners, I'm just sharing that to show you that the business of Trinidad and Tobago is oil and gas. And right now we are poised and set based on the respect of these multinational companies to our country at this point in time is positioned in a good place. Now, after the Christmas, I'll continue to play that interview whereby share with you the fact that the country of Guyana, that is part of South America but also part of the Caribbean, has also forged and in fact have such a great relationship with the government of Trinidad and Tobago because they seek guidance as we have more than 100 years in the oil and gas sector. And the fact that this was evident in the visit of President of Guyana and to the Agricultural Expo, and whereby he and the Prime Minister speaks regularly, formally and informally, in particular as it relates to the oil and gas sector and the exploration that is being undertaken in Guyana at this time. So it augurs well for us as a nation partnering and, of course, assisting in the development of that sector there in Guyana. But some persons are trying to exercise a strain within the relations of these nations and as such make our citizenry believe otherwise. However, the relationships are strong and poised to get stronger. As you know, there have been ties in the agriculture in terms of food security for the region, and even added to that, as you'll hear next week Saturday as we continue that interview, in terms of energy security with that collaboration between Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and Suriname in terms of energy security for the region, not just for us three, but for the whole region. And that is important, so we'll continue that. So, you know, time flies when we're on Scene Talk. So we're going to touch a little more soca parang, come back, and, you know, close off the program for today. And thank you for being here. And of course, we will do our greetings at that time. So we're going to take it away with some music.
It was neighbor Mildred. She come over early, say time to have the fete. Please don't say I'm greedy, but I ain't fool yet. My husband gone by his mother and left me in a jam. Look me belly in my hand, neighbor give me piece of ham. Neighbor, oh yo yo, bring on the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring on the ham. Neighbor, oh yo yo, bring on the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring on the ham. All I want to do is eat. Bring on the ham. I don't want to know what I meat. Bring on the ham. When I taste good so Rufus. Bring on the ham. It's then I just feel it's Christmas. Bring on the ham. Neighbor, hoi, hoi, hoi. Bring on the ham. Neighbor, ay, 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 ay.
muchacha baila. I must have black cake for Christmas. Love it souped down with rum. The taste must be nice and fruity. I want it stick to me gun. A piece of cake Christmas morning. Just have me filled with delight. And with a cold glass of sorrel, my new Christmas does be bright. It's the black cake I love. It's the fruit cake I want. You are the master baker, and I'm the fruit cake lover. I love the way you just make it. I'm always here to eat it. It's the black cake I love. It's the fruit cake I want. It's the black cake I love. With punch of creamer, it's the fruit cake I want. With sorrel or gingerbread. I do like sponge cake on Christmas. I find it does be too dry. And when that thing start to choke you, brings water to your eye. But it's not so wet a black cake. Melts away in your mouth and gives you that Yuletide feeling. You know what I'm talking about. It's the black cake I love. It's the fruit cake I want. You are the master baker, and I'm the fruit cake lover. I love the way you just make it. I'm always here to eat it. It's the black cake I love. It's the fruit cake I want. It's the black cake I love. With punch of creamer, it's the fruit cake I want. With sorrel or gingerbread.
Yes, listeners. We know one of the news is that we have a rough seas bulletin in effect, and that will be continuing over the weekend. So to our fisher folk in the region and community, please, if you don't have to go out, don't go out. I know the youngsters say again, money you have to make. However, your life is more important, so please, that serious rough seas bulletin, we know it have impacted our coastline. Some of our citizens there in Gill Street have felt the full brunt of those high waves, and of course the tide that will accompany those high waves reaching really, really high up on the bank and causing some distress to some of the residents along the coastline. So that rough seas bulletin is in effect and continues to be in effect all day today and tonight. I'm not sure when that will be lifted, but that rough seas bulletin continues. So it's some extremely high waves. In fact, I think what was stated is that the highest recorded sets of waves for the year will actually be now. So please be extremely careful in the open water, and especially us here on the East Coast, as we please take heed of that rough seas bulletin. Well, it's Christmas Eve, the day after Christmas Adam, and the day before that big day. And of course, as I said, remember the reason for the season, and keep that $2 in your pocket. The month of January is 91 days. The month of January is 91 days. So January is 91 days. So keep at $2 to weather that storm through the month of January. And remember, school opening. And of course, to make sure that the youngsters are ready and equipped to face that challenge at school. All right, so season's greetings to all. Happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Remember the reason for the season. Give thanks and recognize all of those. So thank you for being with us here on Saint Talk this morning. Have a great day and love here from Miara Radio and Saint Talk to you and all. Take care.